Okay, so here's a project I've wanted to do for a very long time. This is not mine, this is a picture of somebody else's, and I've seen numerous different variations of this project, which, makes it kind of hard to figure out. How does one want to do it? What is the easiest way to do it? And what is the very best way to do it? Obviously, the GM Kai gets a lot of its parts from the GM Custom. You can see that specifically in the legs. There seems to be some shaving down and reshaping of the knees, but the lower torso and the legs pretty much the same. The arms, however, are different. The shoulders are partially the same, and the chest is different. Now, different people have done this different ways. I've seen very, very simple versions and more complicated versions. This head, for instance, is custom made. But where do you get these heads? Well, here's a simple part that I figured out. The GM Kai has a head from the Gundam Fix figuration. So we got the head. All we need to do is resin cast it. You can use the GM Custom shoulders by cutting off the top and resculpting them. Now we're putting just some flat plastic on top. However, when you cut this, as I know by experience, you will leave a giant hole on top because this is not full. I even tried filling with putty, and the putty just kind of fell out when I cut it. So you're going to have to do some re-engineering of the GM Custom shoulders to pull this off. So I've seen version 1s of this, which the one before you is a version 2, or a version 1. No double jointed arms or legs, no ball jointed waist. Of course, he kind of looks like he might have a ball jointed waist and ball jointed hands. So, numerous variations of this guy exist by different customizers. Here's a version that's pretty much like an extended or a version 2. And you can kind of see they used version 2 RX-78 arms and legs, and a lot of GM Custom parts. I look at their mass production here, which means that they did resculpting on the arms. And version 2s are pretty easy to get, so that makes sense. I have one that's mostly started. It just needed the shoulders figured out and the arms figured out. Backpack was simple enough. Not talking about that one, the orange one, but more of the standards. Cut off the pockets, re-engineer the legs. However, I started thinking to myself, what are the different ways that I can do this? Because if I'm going to do it, I want it to be like a version 2 or an extended, and I want it to be as simple as possible and yet as great as possible. The best of both worlds, which is difficult. And so this is what I have at the moment. Taking parts from my GM Quell, which is a custom. And he's still going to live, my GM Quell. I'm just borrowing from him as I test this out. At first I was working with a version 2 chest. A regular standard RX-78 chest works quite well here. This guy is not perfect, mind you. He's just kind of throwing this together, figuring it out, But the extended MSIA RX-78 fits onto the Hazel's body. The Hazel has double jointed knees, which you can mod to fit into the GM Custom's legs, which, gotta use GM Custom legs anyways. So we've got that, we've got the chest, we've got the head. The shoulders are pretty much similar, but you would have to cut them off and resculpt them and possibly move this vent up. But possibly not. Might look just fine once it's cut. The arms are the right shape. They don't have the little notches in them, but they are the right shape. The only thing that they don't have is the little circle that goes right here, which one might be able to pull off by doing some kind of joint replacement between the extended arms and the Hazel arms. The Hazel was pretty much an extended figure, so it did have that smaller frame. Part of me's sad though, because I was really looking forward to using the big bulky version 2 frame. Which, you know, that can be done too. You can use a 1.5 and drill into it, put it right there, or you could put a ball joint through there from the version 2. I mean, there are so many different ways to make this figure. A lot of different ways. Obviously, this one not being done, so I haven't done this is just thrown together, just a test. But the backpack wouldn't be hard to mod. I have to put in the new saber. Mod the shoulders, cut the pockets, and cut the knees. And a paint job. Other than that, I think a mix of the Hazel, the GM Custom, and the extended RX-78, along with a resin cast of this head. A little bit of shaping and cutting might be the best and easiest way to make this figure. I really wish Hobby Wave had not closed before I could order more extended MSIA. I went there to see when they were actually closing. I'd missed the order date by like 2 days, and it was very sad. But I do have a few spare extendeds. That said, if no one's going to do this project, I'm looking for extended RX-78s, because I'm probably going to go through with the project that's sitting before you. Also looking for Hazels and GM Customs. But like I said, I'm kind of ambitious for version 2 kind of quality. There's others who that doesn't matter so much, and building a version 1 wouldn't be too hard, and someday I'll do a tutorial type thing on that, but you're going to have to sculpt the arms. I didn't want to sculpt the arms. That was my big reason for going with the Hazel. Well, hope you enjoyed my thoughts. A little long-winded, but that's what I was thinking. I think I'm going to build this guy. Only, I'm not going to tear apart my GM Quell for it, because I really like my GM Quell. Later!